Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now March 15th of 2023, and today is a very special day because we finally got to see Chapter 3, or should I say Episode 3, of The Mandalorian Season 3, and to me, honestly, I think it was probably the best out of all the episodes that have been presented so far, because not only was it the longest one, but it also had a lot more stories to tell about Bo-Katan, Grogu, and of course Din Djarin and others in there. But anyways, moving on, we also have a lot of things that Jon and Dave are about to announce at Celebration next month. That's also going to be very surprising. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, given that Kathleen Kennedy has been in quite a rough ride for the past couple of months now, all because of what's been going on with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew and all the different setbacks and delays and all the different firings that have been taking place by Kennedy herself, in which that's going to be the main subject for today of exactly what happened with the Acolyte show. Now, we know that Jon and Dave have stepped in and have been, of course, instructed by Disney to help out around, give or take, 40% of the Acolyte. That's a rough estimate about how much material they're going to be attempting to piece together and fix and kind of diminish those retcons as much as possible toward the prequels. So that brings us to exactly what Kathleen Kennedy did once again with the Acolyte series. Now, as you all know, the Acolyte series is a show that's going to be a very controversial one, not just because of the retcons that Leslie Headland is creating with Kathy Kennedy, but also the fact that it is going to really be, less focused on character development and storytelling, and how it's really going to be a centerpiece for Kathleen Kennedy's agenda. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm beginning to develop new Star Wars TV shows, it's described that currently Kathleen Kennedy is making some major changes to the existing projects under her control, ever since Jon and Dave took over around 40% of the Acolyte series, for example. Now, further, it's described that just recently Kathleen Kennedy fired some Lucasfilm creatives connected to the Acolyte series, as she believes they have been doing a poor job and have put her in this complex situation, where Disney board actually rushed in to actually have been very dissatisfied with Kennedy's test footage for the Acolyte, which is why they hired Jon and Dave to come in and help fix the series. Now, further, Kennedy is said to have fired those that were connected to the Acolyte in various departments, and that she's in the process already of hiring new ones to take their place for post-production. That, of course, will be gearing up sometime by this summer. Kennedy had to get authorization first to fire these individuals from Lucasfilm that were developing the Acolyte with Leslie Headland, one of which involved an unnamed co-writer that worked very well with Leslie. So let me just stop right here quickly before I get to the next big piece about all of this, is that this is not all that surprising. This is Kathleen Kennedy's defense right now. This is her damage control. Basically, what's going on with the Acolyte series is that it has been in a very big spiral of negativity. We've seen that a lot of the cast and the crew have been complaining about their time on the set of the Acolyte, and even more so with Skeleton Crew. I mean, that's probably been the worst one of all. But when you look at certain scenarios like this, where Kathleen Kennedy was put in a position where she felt that she had to let go or lay off a certain number of employees in specific departments over at Lucasfilm that worked on the Acolyte, that just goes to show you how dissatisfied she herself is with Disney's overall image of Kathleen Kennedy and what she has done with the Acolyte. Now, we talked about this before, that they still are on their A-game to get her fired by this August, but Bob Iger and some of the board members actually want to plan something out where they want to actually cover it up to the public that she's actually just going to be stepping down, when in reality she's getting fired behind closed doors, to kind of prevent, those headlines by social media and certain media outlets and all the like. Now that brings us to the next big piece about all of this, is that we know that Kathleen Kennedy has been having a lot of trouble, not just with her creative departments on the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, but also with exactly how she has been battling these retcons from getting erased by John and Dave. That's also something that she's been very defensive over, is that she wants her retcons to make it through for some of the episodes of the Acolyte series against the prequel trilogy movies. Further, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is said to have also fired a handful of set designers for the Acolyte show for various set pieces that she refused to credit for some of the episodes. That also is creating some problems behind the scenes. Disney board members quickly jumped in to credit those individuals when they were actually fired after. With John and Dave now taking over many portions of the Acolyte, there is said to be a chance now that Acolyte may very well get a second season greenlit if this test footage improves in the next month or two. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if they are to greenlight a second season for the Acolyte show, it has to be a good series. It has to be something engaging, something that John and Dave can completely fix for the most part. And if you guys want my real 2 cents on this, I don't see this show getting a second season if it's going to get a bad rap by the fans, if it's going to get terrible reception. It's all about reviews, right? It all does dwindle down to reviews when it comes to Disney Plus projects. They're not really relying on ticket sales, they're not relying on repeat ticket sales or anything like that, because they're not movies. What they are relying on is, of course, how many subscribers stay tuned on Disney Plus after watching that show. And number 2, they're also relying on fan feedback. Those are the big factors in kind of figuring out how a streaming show is going to succeed, and ratings also take a very big role in that as well. Now, this is obviously something that has been a concern for Kathleen Kennedy, because we got the ratings just yesterday. Mandalorian Season 3 is doing pretty well, and she believes that the Acolyte may very well not live up to expectations, ratings-wise. This is why you have Kathleen Kennedy making all these adjustments, firing specific people on the creative departments, and really trying to get better people involved to take control of the show. This is why we haven't really heard all that much about the series this year by Leslie Headland herself, other than the fact that the show is about Sith infiltrating the Jedi Order. That's about the main plot piece that we know about. Now, of course, we have gone over some of the opening and ending scenes that have been going through difficult phases, to say the least, where Disney has also been very unhappy with those two, and how there's a lot of callbacks to the Clone Wars era. We talked about this, how there's going to be a lot of flash forwards in the show in the very beginning, and how there's also going to be a lot of flashbacks that John and Dave want to reinstate that actually date back to the Old Republic era. Alright, so be aware about that. There's a lot of things going into this show. There's a lot of different scenarios that Kathleen Kennedy has to really take control of if she really wants to improve the series. She has to think like John and Dave. I don't think that she's going to. I think that these firings are just for herself to kind of get rid of those that Disney was very unhappy with, and to at least kind of improve her image. So, anyways, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to